Hey there, sports fans, it's Craig. Now, my last video, I did a Cycwall extension, and I purposely did not show you the whole Cycwall. Now, my thought was, I know I wanted to do a studio tour, and we're gonna do the studio tour. So I will take you through all 3,200 square feet of the studio. I'll point out some things that I think are useful for my productions and little knick-knack things that I have, and we'll play a game of I made that, starting with this guy here. So this is my most recent build, and it's really nothing more than a shelf. And I noticed that I had all these lights laying around. And one of the things was, I'd be like, okay, I know where they're at, but now they have a dedicated home. It's easy to not have to search for my Pelican box, flip some latches, and try to find all my miscellaneous lights. If you want some fill or illumination or an edge light of some sort, then I know to come right here. And this is actually not done yet, but you get the point. Now, as we walk into the rest of the Cycwall, this is it. You are supposed to look like you are in infinite space. And one of the things that is a pet peeve of mine are people that rent the studio, one, because it has a Cycwall, which is great. I don't mind that at all. But the first thing that they do is they want to stand right back here so that they can have a shadow when the scene doesn't necessarily call for that. And the purpose of a Cycwall is to appear in infinite space. Think The Matrix, which I use in parody a lot. I want guns, lots of guns, right? The other thing is, hi, I'm a Mac. And hi, I'm a PC. Remember those commercials? Okay, so as you look to your left, your left, my right, this is the left side of the view of the Cycwall. There's the right, and you can take a look at the sound baffles and things that I have around the studio to keep the sound echoing down since it is a concrete building. And I built the sound baffles as well as the stool and the Cycwall. Let's move into the next space. This is actually probably my favorite space because it feeds a lot of what I need to do my job. And when I say do my job, yes, I swear I'm a photographer and videographer, but having professional tools, even for photography, is a necessity to be successful and get the best images that you can. The second thing is that you want to have that little extra something, whether it be a prop you have to make or some type of accent. It is great to have a workshop that can do that. So this feeds a lot of different appetites for me, because as you'll see when we move to the kitchen, and as you've already seen in the rest of the studio, I've made everything, and it didn't all start here. In the beginning, I was on my hands and knees in bare concrete space, banging away, using my miter saw station. Well, it was just the miter saw on the floor then, and then did it in stages. I made a workbench, and that workbench actually is back here behind the table saw. It is now an outfeed table. And then after I did that, it was buying a little table saw just to rip sheets in. And then that allowed me to get some shelving up. That allowed me to do some of the larger cuts that you see on the Cycwall. And these are shots from the beginning. And now it got to a point where you start thinking about the whole solution. And just for photography and video, I want the whole solution. Cameras, printing, a server to serve out the data, so I'm not relying on Google Drives and OneDrives and all of that. So dust filtration and everything else. And you can see I'm a little excited about it. So this is where all the magic happens. And one of the things that I do around the holiday time is that I have all this fancy hardwood, and I take that, and if I can have an opportunity to make cutting boards, I then mess around with custom cutting board designs, and I give those as a gift for the holidays. And actually, you'll actually see those when we get into the kitchen. So in the kitchen, I've got a couple of those boards. I kept some for myself. One was like a prototype, but I'll cover that when we get here. So next, what we're gonna look at is going to be Studio B, and I'm telling you that ahead of time because as we get into Studio B, it is right on the other side of the workshop, and it is a big green wall that I use for VFX, and we'll probably talk in depth there because it's the room that has probably more of the things that have tested me to step outside my comfort zone.
Okay, so before we start in here, Studio B, let me first show you what it used to look like. And you can see the green wall wasn't even in existence yet. So now I think it's probably better to just maybe do a 360 and I voiceover. So what we'll do is we'll at least start with the audio. And I know as I move through spaces, the acoustics have changed because this space has 50 sound baffles. Studio A has like 14, and the other spaces don't have any. Like actually my office has a few, but regardless of the point, this space is an all concrete opening, had tons of reverb, and if I can find the clip, I will put it maybe at the end of the video or something so you could hear. I would snap, and it would just keep going for like 3 or 4 seconds. Like the hello, hello, hello. The sound baffles that go around the full studio, minus the green wall, obviously. And since I have a green screen, I also have a VFX tracking mat. This is from
Anti-latency.
Then I also have a walking treadmill so that I can walk in a scene and then key it out and put in whatever background that I want. The cinema cameras for the studio, there's an RE Alexa Classic Plus, a red 8K helium. I have a dolly. This is actually a 3D station, and there's a computer on the floor you see there that runs Unreal Engine. I have to mount that sound bar. And you know, plenty of audio gear. I've got a couple of 10 bank KinoFlow lights here. I think those are 1.2K equivalents. And I have dedicated lights that you see here for the green wall that I can just plug in, and I know that they will illuminate the wall in a way that I can accurately key it out. This was a famous first for me because I didn't know anything about DMX lighting. And these are DMX encoders. There's a control panel there as well. And those run up and they will operate this LED ceiling here. Well, I can program that to take each of the 5 well, actually there's 10 LED strips, and they're grouped into 2s. So yes, there's 10 strips, but think of them as 5 strips because every pair operates at the same frequency. So now what I can do is I can take those and I can make them different colors. Okay, so the board is lit. I want lights 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Right now, there's nothing on. And now you've got red. Now I do Unreal Engine work here where I key out the green screen. I can put myself in a 3D environment. That's what the tracking mat is for, as I mentioned earlier. The one thing that I haven't fine-tuned it yet is keying out the green screen when I have a color effect around here. Just thought I would throw that out. It's something that I am working on. Now you've got green. Yes, I have solid colors, and I have to always read the instructions. That's how frequently I use this, is that you can run a program, and there are all type of different DMXs. There's a wireless DMX, and I didn't invest in that because I don't use it enough. And the other thing that I want to do is, or that it can do, program it, run a program, and if you time it correctly, you can have them blink and change and do all types of things. And you ever see the DJ lights that spin around and do all of that? I have some of those, and they're actually very good I took this shot using DJ lights, and that was so I could get the kind of focused beams of light. All right, so if I just wanted soft top-down light, then this is my go-to setup. And this is great because these aren't super bright LEDs. I didn't need them super bright. I wanted them to be able to provide some top light. And again, there's 5 rows, right? So let's say I only want just a little bit of highlight, maybe on the back side. Then I only turn on 1 strip. And now I can add in my other key and fill lights as necessary. And now I've got something that looks like an office or a bathroom fluorescent light or something like, well, not fluorescent, but a top-down light. I actually thought I would spend more time in here because of everything that has gone on, and I realized that I have not, which is good because now the video doesn't become too long. All right, we are at the kitchen, and the kitchen is a space, actually the whole studio is a space that has a lot of famous firsts for me because I've had an opportunity to build a lot. So my famous first here are the drop ceiling, because recall this was nothing but concrete floors and walls. Actually the whole studio was. The one thing that I do like is that I get to decorate, kind of put my own touch on this. So if you look at the refrigerator, and we'll cover this first, this wrap here is actually my second refrigerator. I'll spare you the details about the first, but this wrap I am able to pick a picture or artwork that has, you know, the color scheme or the mood that I am filling for whenever. This is actually the second wrap that I have done here. So it's worked out pretty well for me. And the first thing that I built when I decided that this should be a full-blown kitchen as opposed to like a 90s sitcom kitchenette is this bank of cabinets. And if you come down here with me, I did MDF fronts for this kind of bow tie effect here. This is an MDF outer, this is plywood. All the structure of this is plywood, and actually it's 2 sets of cabinets. So this is the first set of cabinets that's in the corner, and this is the second set of cabinets that I built. Version 3 for this, I decided that I wanted a big L to fill up this wall, so I had to find a way to put them together, and that's how this became what it is. As we kind of move around this space, made this, printed that, and bought the rest of the bank of cabinets. So I'm going to do a 360, and you guys can see the kitchen kind of from a center perspective, and then we'll talk about the other caddy corner piece of this, which is where the stove and sink is, because that's a whole another story in itself. Yeah. All right. So here we are on the other side, and I wanted to grab this because I didn't explicitly point these out, but if you just rewind back, you can see that these are in the background and also in the 360. Once I got decent enough, these were the types of boards I was making. This one's a one-off and just custom feet, grooves for your hands. The only thing I haven't gotten to yet is making a jig to do the juice grooves, but I haven't decided what I'm gonna do with this one yet. And anyhow, just wanted to point that out while I get ready to talk about this. So here, 2 stories, because the only thing that I've paid for here, other than steel doors and security, is a 220 volt outlet that will, made this, well, not that will, but that does power this stovetop here. And I wanted to have something that I can do food prep with, something that other people can do food prep with, so it's not just, it's all types of photography for the production studio. And I eat, so. Now, again, made this countertop, and you can see it's plywood covered in epoxy and pretty much makes it waterproof. So when I come around to the sink, it's epoxied over and, you know, no issues there. The other story is that there's no plumbing in the kitchen. Remember, it was just concrete space. So it turns out well, there's a bathroom on the other side of this wall, and I had to buy a specialty bit to drill through to run out 2 half-inch lines that brought in cold and hot water so that I could have running water. Had to put in an electric pump here and then run a like 1.5 inch drain out to tie into the drain in the bathroom, and that's what allows me to have running water in the kitchen. So imagine anytime before I did this, if I heated up something in the microwave and it needed to be poured out or thrown away, I was taking the trash out every day and then like dumping stuff, you know, liquids in the sink or the toilet and flushing it or something like that, which doesn't seem like a hassle, but I assure you that it is. And in the bathroom, I ran that piping along the wall and into the vanity, and I used a sort of bulkhead to cover that piping up. And we're not touring the bathroom, so I'm just telling you what that looks like. Anyhow, that wraps up the kitchen here. And let's get into the office so we can wrap up in my Zen space. Now, very briefly, and this won't take very long, I made the desk, I made the custom paper roll holder for my large format printer here, and I made those build-ins that are over there. Painted the office middle gray and also put in black tiles on the ceiling because these lights are, they're bright, but it's a soft brightness since the black absorbs a lot of that luminance. Anyhow, I sit here and I do 3D work, I do editing, just whatever may come. And when I talked about owning the full solution, this is part of what I meant. I can take the photos, I can take the video, I can edit, color grade, deliver, and serve all of that stuff out. And it cuts out a lot of the middleman and it keeps me busy. But if I ever get to the point where I am that busy, I know a myriad of ways that I can contract work out. Lastly, thank you for watching the video because I never did a grand opening. But listen to this. Okay, I have been making baffles and treating this back part of the green wall Studio B. And here's what it sounds like. There's a little bit of reverb left, but I only put up 3 baffles, and I'll show them to you. I put up 2 2-inchers and 1 4-incher right in the center here, and that limited all of that nasty reverb that you heard in the other video.